about science, how does it make you feel? Confused? Overwhelmed? Maybe bored? I'm sure that all of you at some point in your life have come across a piece of science. Maybe it was in the news. Maybe it was an article. Maybe it was in a book. Maybe it was a scientific figure or a graph. And you looked at it, or you read it, and you thought, what? You're not alone. It's happened to me as well, many times, in fact. And it's particularly worrying in my case, because I am a scientist. That should be my world. For most people, science feels like an exclusive club, one that you need special qualities to be part of, qualities that most non-scientists don't feel like they have. Or science simply feels so disconnected to our everyday lives that we have better things on which to spend our energy, particularly in a world full of misinformation and clickbait. Who even has the time to figure out what counts as science? But science is closer to you than you might think. Take this, you're cooking and you're missing an ingredient. You think, what can I do? Do I change it for something else? Do I leave it out? Will the recipe still work? Will it taste the same? Will it taste better? Maybe you try it and the next time you adjust. Or you panic and you call Nonna. Either way, that is science. Observing, testing, learning. You do science every day, you just don't call it that. For most people, the real struggle to connect with science is because they don't see how it's relevant to their lives. See what I did there? I just blamed you. How dare you not understand the importance of science? But actually, it's not your fault at all. It's our fault. Scientists, we are not always the best at talking about what we do or why we do it. We spend so much time zooming in that we forget to zoom out. We're always stuck on our computer screens or our latest set of experiments in the lab, and metaphorically, our own nonsense. We know exactly why we do what we do. We know exactly why it's important. We know how it's connected to our life, to our collective life here on Earth. We just forget to tell anyone. But it shouldn't be that difficult. Take me, I'm a geodynamicist. That is a long word. It's a special kind of Earth scientist. I study what the Earth was like hundreds of millions of years ago, and I build computer models to show it. Maybe you've heard of something called plate tectonics, the theory that tells us that Earth's outer layer is broken into tectonic plates, pieces that move constantly with us and all life as we know it on board, and in fact have been moving for millions of years. Well, that's great, but it's all a bit abstract, isn't it? That's not going to stop you from going out and enjoying an apero, probably. Okay, well, plate tectonics is the reason why we have oceans and mountains, why earthquakes shake the ground, why volcanoes exist and erupt. It's been connected to the origins of life on Earth, and it's a key ingredient in making a habitable planet. It's still shaping our planet today. Are you still a bit abstract? Computer models like the ones I built are used for many things. One of them is predicting where to find things like critical minerals, which are key components in the phones, the computers, cameras, a lot of our technology. Every scientific discipline, every science story, every discovery has an access point. And what that access point is depends on you and your interests. Science isn't boring, and you are not too dumb to understand it. It's just that we, scientists, keep explaining it in ways that fails to connect it to your life, to real life, if you like. And it shouldn't be so hard. Take something like plate tectonics, which a priori is quite abstract. Well, if I wanted you to take an interest in it, what access point can I find? Plate tectonics is the reason we have volcanoes. It helps us understand volcanoes, in fact. Have you ever wondered why the good people of Pompeii built the city in such a terrible neighborhood? Because if you've ever wondered that, that could be an access point for me to tell you about plate tectonics, for example. Now, besides the fact that we are not always the best communicators, that's not a problem. And that is that there is almost too much communication sometimes, or too much noise. Take something like climate change. Everybody, and I mean everybody, has an opinion. Sometimes it's based on evidence, sometimes it's not. If you're brave enough to do your own research, the black, you'll find millions of articles, books, images, debates, and by the way, a lot of them will be contradicting each other. So I can't blame you if you have better things to do with your time. But let's pause for a second and just look at one piece of the puzzle. The climate stripes, I'm sure you've seen them before. Red is hot, blue is cold. You've understood it before you've even had time to think about it. It shows you that the world is getting warmer at an alarming rate, but it also shows that really complex science can be shown in very intuitive ways that everybody can understand. So at the very least, it gives us scientists a little bit of hope. If we work a bit harder, we should be able to communicate what we do. Now, of course, the climate stripes are a small piece of the puzzle. You do a little bit of digging, you do a little bit of asking questions, and you'll find all of those contradicting debates. And you'll end up probably where you started with science, confused. But what if I told you that feeling confused also makes you a scientist? We are confused all the time. Don't tell the rest of the scientific community that I told you that. The difference is that we are trained to be comfortable with uncertainty. When we see conflicting arguments, when we see conflicting debates, when we are faced by a wall of facts, we just see it as an invitation to ask more questions. And there is not a reason you can't do the same. Asking questions is really powerful. Now, going back to climate change, something you may also have heard before is that the Earth has been warned in the past. There's nothing to worry about. This has happened before. It's just part of a cycle. Ask a couple of questions and you will find that, one, yeah, that is true. In geological history, there have been many episodes of warming. There's something else that has happened, though, at the end of those warming episodes. Mass extinctions. It's kind of an important detail. The main barrier between you and scientific understanding, the main barrier preventing you from building a relationship with science, is not intelligence, it is confidence. It is good to ask questions. In fact, you're allowed to ask questions. It is great to be skeptical, and it is absolutely fine not to always understand everything. Neither do we. We just don't tell you. So the climate strikes are a really great example of science being communicated in a very intuitive way. But most of the time, you open the news and there is an article about some scientists down in Antarctica drilling into the ice, thousands of readers down, to retrieve samples of ice that are 1 million years old. And I imagine you would think, well, what's the point? Are they making the world's oldest gin and tonic? Or you see an article headline that says, climate change is new. And you start reading the article, it is talking about these other warming events in the past. Asking questions is really what is between you and making those pieces of science that we've kind of poorly communicated, making them your own. Now, of course, we need to do better. Scientists really need to do better. I'm not trying to get away from that. But there is one little thing you can do to reframe your approach to science. And it's very simple. Whenever you see a piece of science, do the exercise of wondering what might be the purpose of it. Because every single study, every single discovery, there is a reason why you do what we do. And if you find the purpose hiding behind the data, I promise you, the stories hiding in that purpose are truly fascinating. Because if I told you that those scientists drilling in Antarctica, trying to get to very old ice, well, they're doing that because within the ice, there are air bubbles. And if you get to ice that is 1 million years old, those air bubbles are literal time capsules of what the Earth's atmosphere was like 1,000,000 years ago. And if you know that, yes, the Earth has been warmer before, but every time that has happened, it has led to an event where most species just left the chat, you'll be more likely to wonder, well, where's the agenda behind some of these more clickbaity so-called science articles? Did I forget to mention why I, as a scientist, care that you engage with science, why it's important that you build a relationship with science, a relationship that works for you? It's actually really simple. The more you understand how science is woven into every aspect of our lives, often in a silent way, in a non-apparent way, the more you'll be able to make informed decisions and challenge misinformation and, well, ultimately contribute to shaping our collective future. Curiosity really is the key when it comes to science, and your curiosity is great to have, but of course, keys are kind of useless without doors. So to the scientists in the room, we need to start building bigger doors, I think, and stop building walls. We need to start meeting the public where the public are, not where we think they should be. Our science deserves to be told in ways that inspires instead of confuses. And there are many ways to do that. For me, if you couldn't guess, I use illustration, because silly little funny cartoons that put a smile on people's faces makes them more likely to listen to what I have to say. Now, drawing ability is not required, nobody panic. You can find your own way. Ultimately, helping people come closer to science can only really be done if we share the stories behind it, sharing the stories behind the data, sharing the purpose behind our studies, and not just sharing the successes, but also sharing the human side, the things that confuse us, the things we struggle with. And to the non-scientists, you can help us too. Now, of course, you could sit around and wait until finally we figure it out and we become really great communicators. But in the meantime, ask questions, engage, even challenge us. Tell us when we've lost you, when the explanations don't work, because every time you do that, you are helping us build bigger doors for you to step in. Like I said, curiosity, when it comes to building a relationship with science, is the key. And your curiosity doesn't just fuel learning, it fuels something a lot more important, change. Thank you.